transferring money to the Philippines, to the US. All along we have been talking about sending money from the US to the Philippines. That's obviously not a problem. There are certain procedures you have to follow. You cannot just send money to a bank account, and you have to have a bank account, and to open a bank account you have to have certain documents. But the issue we're going to talk about is sending money to the United States. Stay with me, that's what we'll talk about. I have been getting a lot of questions about, will I be able to get my money back? Let's say I sell my properties in the Philippines, I real estate in the Philippines, and I want to send money to the United States. Have you experienced doing that? Can we do that with no problem? Well, I will be less than honest if I tell you that, it's no problem because I sent money to the United States and it was no problem. No, I never did. All this time I'm sending money to the Philippines. Now, what did I do before I bought a condominium in the Philippines? I had to investigate what the process would be to send money to the United States, and if there is going to be any issue. So I met with 2 banks. And the bank said to me, it's not really a problem. You just have to show, 1, the reason why you're sending the money, and 2, where did the money come from? And there's a 3rd one. And 3, have you paid your taxes? Well, as you know, as a dual citizen, we're not subject to Philippine tax on anything that is coming from the US. But once you start making money in the Philippines, you will be subject to tax. So they want to make sure that you're paying your taxes. Now, what happens with this sale of a property? You sell your property in the Philippines, obviously you will get the money. What will you do with the gain? Or not with the gain, with the proceeds? Is that subject to tax? Yes, it is. And it's called capital gains tax. Now, that capital gains tax is not based on capital gains. It's based on the total proceeds. It's almost like sales tax or VAT, value-added tax. You are taxed on the gross proceeds on the sale of the property. So, once you sell your condominium or real estate, house and lot, you will have to pay taxes before you can even transfer the title to the property to the buyer. So you have to show proof of that. Now, I assume you're going to do that, obviously, otherwise you will not be able to transfer. The question, though, is now you have the money in the bank. What do you need for you to send money to the United States? Well, you will need the deed of sale, the transaction, the tax that you paid. You have to show those proof, and why you're sending it to the United States. It's easy. You just tell them, well, I sold my property, so now I'm going back to the US and I'm sending my money back to the US. 2 banks told me that that's all that is required. I'm still worried about it. But then I received several comments on YouTube, and I'm going to show you one, okay? I'll show you one comment that was given to me. The comment, it says, "Hello, Grandpa. A friend of mine," so that's not him or her, but a friend of mine sold their ancestral property, were able to bring the money via TT, I guess that's called telegraphic transfer. Just need to show the bank the deed of sale. The reason they used is proceeds of sale. Hope it helps. So I asked her, how much money did you move? Because if it's a small amount, maybe they wouldn't care, but it's a big amount, something else. My friend's sister got 70K, but she did not say if that's 70 pesos or $70,000. I assume that is dollars, because properties are worth a lot more than 70,000 pesos. So according to her, it's not really a problem. So that basically confirms what the 2 banks told me before I decided to plunge ahead and go ahead and invest in a condominium in the Philippines. So What I can tell you guys is this: make sure you have all your ducks in a row, you have all your documents, all your US passport, all documents needed to prove that you're living in the US and also in the Philippines, and you are sending the money, and the money came from this, and the taxes have been paid. And as long as you can produce all those documents, that's good news, because there is no more restriction. If I recall correctly, when I left the Philippines in 1970 or 71, there was a limit of about $10,000. I cannot move anything out of the Philippines for $10,000. Now, I don't know if that limit is the same limit we now have. How much money can you bring to the Philippines or take out of the Philippines? $10,000. Maybe that's all it was. But my understanding back then is it was stricter than it is today. So I'm glad to hear that. Now, one of these days, few years from now, I will experience it. Now, for some people who had the experience before, I will appreciate it if you can put in the comment down below your experience, what you had to produce, what you have to deliver to the bank for you to be able to get it. Now, as far as the mechanism for transferring money, telegraphic transfer, wire transfer, I believe wire transfer is the only vehicle you will need to do that is via the bank. So it's going to be a bank to bank. I'm not sure if you can do from US to the Philippines. You can use Remitly, you can use TransferWise, you can use Western Union. I don't think going from Philippines to the US that you'll be able to use them. So that's all I have to share with you today regarding this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll appreciate it if you can share this with other people. And I'll appreciate it if you click like, and please do subscribe to my channel unless you have already done so. Make it a great day, and God bless.